Hello, thank you for joining us today. Today's program is going to be crochet hoop earrings. So I'm going to show you how to make these lovely crochet hoop earrings. And if you're not into very drastic fashions, don't worry. Looks very dramatic because of the yarn that I selected. Okay, so you can go dramatic or go a little bit more simple by choosing a different yarn. Thank you for joining us once again. So my name is Ceresa Newsome. I am the creative resident in residence here at the Ives Main Library, downtown New Haven. I'm actually presenting to you today from the lovely country of Panama. My father is from Panama, and I took a trip to come and visit him for my birthday. My birthday was Tuesday. So forgive me in advance. You may hear the soundtrack of Panama. You may hear the breeze blowing the trees. You may hear roosters crowing. You may hear dogs barking. You may hear the neighbors watching their novellas. So you get a little special program here today all the way from Panama. And you may hear my father speaking Spanish on the phone with someone, but we'll be sure to keep that at a minimum. Again, so my name is Ceresa. I'm a creative in residence here at the Ives Main Library. I'm also a creative. I'm creative. I love making things with my hands. I sew, I knit and crochet. And I do a lot of other things, but those are the main things that I focus on. And I'm also an entrepreneur. So I have a business, Endangered Stitches, which I launched during a pandemic, where I offer knitting, sewing, and crochet courses. So with my role as creative in residence at the library, I have office hours 2 days out of the week. Monday, my office hours are from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and Thursday, my office hours are from 12 to 2 p.m. So you can go to the library website and schedule office hours with me if you have any creative projects you want help with, or any creative things. You have a business and you need some creative advice, you can schedule an appointment with me. You can come down to the library. I'm usually there during those hours, even if you don't schedule office hours. If I'm not sitting with someone, you can come and see me. And my email is creative@nhfpl.org. You can always email me with any questions. So we're going to start the program. The materials you will need is hoop earrings. I got a pack of about 5 pairs from a beauty supply store for less than $2. A cotton yarn or crochet thread, cotton crochet thread, and the corresponding crochet hook that goes with that. A pair of scissors, and optional is fabric glue. Okay, so we're gonna change my camera and you're gonna get a view of the materials that we're gonna need. So here we have the crochet thread. And this is how the earring will look and the crochet thread. So it's a very big difference from the ones that I am wearing today, which are made out of this yarn, which we have at the library. So you can come and get some of that from the library for your project. With the bigger yarn, this is the hook that I use. It's an E4 hook. It's a 3.5 millimeter. For the smaller crochet yarn, I use a smaller needle, a smaller hook, sorry. It's the number 1.75 millimeters. Also, I said scissors, but these snips are very handy. And this large eye blunt needle is optional as well for when you're at the end and you want to weave in your ends. Okay. So I'm gonna use the bigger yarn just so you can see the stitches better, but feel free to use whatever size works for you. So I'm gonna take one of the earrings from the package. And we're gonna start with a slip knot. So I pulled my yarn. I usually pull from the middle of the ball so that it flows freely and smoothly. I'm going to make a slip knot to start with. So I have many videos and many programs that I've done to show how to make a slip knot. It's very simple. You loop the end of your yarn. This long end is coming from the ball of yarn. And then you have this end here. So you're gonna just twist it so that the short end is laying over the long end. And you can put your, usually I instruct to put your fingers through and pull that long end through. So you have a little knot at the end. You can also use your hook. So once I have that slip knot, I'm going to put my hook in the center and I'm going to pull the long end of my yarn to tighten the loop a little bit around the crochet hook. Okay. And this end is a little bit long, so I'm going to cut it a little bit so we can disguise it under the under your work. So I'm just going to cut it a little bit here. Okay. So I'm going to take my hoop earring, and there's different sizes. I like bigger ones, so I chose a bigger one. Smaller ones would look cute as well, and also the thickness of the hoop, it depends on whatever you want, your personal preference. So I'm going to take my crochet hook with my yarn and the slip knot, and I'm going to line it up with the end of my earring. And I'm going to bring this just a little bit closer so you can see. Okay. So I'm going to take my crochet hook, and if you know how to crochet already, this will be very easy for you. If you don't know how to crochet, it may be a little difficult, but it all depends on how you learn. So I'm going to wrap the yarn around my left. I'm right-handed. I'm going to wrap the yarn around my left finger, my pointer finger, just to create a little bit of tension so it's not moving around too much. And I'm going to hold this yarn here close to the earring because I'm going to work around it. I'm going to hide that inside of my stitches. So what we're going to do is start with a row of or a round of single crochet stitches around the earring. So the way you do that, you put your yarn, your hook under the hoop, like, and pull up yarn. Okay, so now I have 2 loops on my crochet hook. You see those 2 loops? And I'm gonna bring it just a little bit closer. Okay. I have 2 loops on my yarn, on my crochet hook. And then I'm gonna wrap my yarn over. We call that a yarn over. And I'm going to pull that yarn right through those 2 loops that I had on my hook. Okay, so now we have 1 single crochet stitch, and we're going to continue to do that all the way around. I put in the materials that it's optional to get glue, because you will notice as I work my stitches, this will move. Okay, so as a beginner, it may be a little bit difficult to control your stitches with that moving. So I would recommend getting the glue and adding a dab of glue right here, just so that stays and doesn't move. Okay, so we're going to continue to work the single crochet hooks, or single crochet stitches all the way around the hoop. So I went under through the hoop, I brought up a loop, I'm going to yarn over and pull that yarn through those 2 loops. So, and then that's 2 stitches I made. We're gonna, you don't have to do this, you can just do it by eye. But if you want both pairs of earrings to look, both earrings in your pair to look exactly the same, to come up exactly the same, you're gonna count how many single crochet stitches you do around so that you can duplicate that in your other earring. Okay, so I'm just going to keep on going around. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat. If you need me to slow down, feel free to let me know. Okay.
And I'm watching the chat in both Zoom and Facebook. So if anyone posts comments there, I can read those off.
Awesome. Thank you. And if you are a crocheter, please let us know in the chat. If you have never crocheted before, let us know your experience level. So we're gonna pull the yarn up. You have 2 loops on your hook. Wrap your yarn over the hook and pull it through the 2 loops. So I tend to crochet tight, so it's gonna be a little hard for me sometimes with the tension. But once we get past this end of thread that we're covering up, it should loosen up a little bit more as well. So I'm gonna put my hook under, pull up a loop of yarn, wrap my yarn over, and pull that through the 2 loops. Okay, so I'm going to mute myself for a minute, and I'm gonna continue really quick, and then I'll show you what you need to do at the end, okay?
We've got a question in the Q&A. Will we have access to this recording? Yes, this recording will be on Facebook, so you can watch it anytime after the program.
Thank you, Rose. And also realize how I'm holding the earring as well while I stitch. Tension is very important when you're doing your stitch work, just in general. So for this, you're already holding the yarn, you're holding your hook, and you're also holding the hoop earring. So there's a lot you have to coordinate. Just grabbing the yarn up, yarn over, and pull through the 2 loops. And if you can't see that well, please let me know. I'm trying to pay attention to the view to make sure that everything is on the screen as I go. So this is also, you can do so many other designs once you start off with this stitch around the single crochet stitch. And you can also just leave it as is. I like to buy these inexpensive hoop earrings from the beauty supply store, and sometimes the color changes. So this would be a great project to do when your earrings, the color changes. If you're like me and like to buy inexpensive hoops that has a color change, you can
like
cover
using
it
a
up.
variegated yarn?
Yes, the variegated yarn, that would be beautiful. because the colors would change all the way through. Or you can use 2 different colors or as many colors as you want. So you can, it's really up to you how you want to personalize it. This is just one sample, one example. Because I even like how it looked, just covered with a single crochet stitch without doing the ruffles.
We've got another question. How long does it take to crochet the earrings?
It completely depends on the size of your earrings, the size of the yarn that you use. I'm almost finished with this single crochet. Once I go back to add the ruffles, it may take a little bit longer, but I think it can be done within an hour using this size yarn, and depending on your experience level crocheting. If you're a beginner, it may take a little bit longer. This one takes a lot longer because it's finer yarn. So this may take me, you know, I'm not a speed crocheter. This may take me a couple hours to finish. And then you have to remember that you have 2 of them to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna end right here. I could have probably added 1 or 2 more stitches. But so this is how it looks when you finish your single crochet stitches around. I didn't count how many stitches, but on the ones that I'm wearing today, they were 50 single crochet stitches around. Okay, so once you do your single crochet stitches, to add the ruffles, we're going to add double crochet clusters in each stitch going around. So we worked around this way, adding our single crochet stitches. So now we have to work back on top of our single crochet stitches. So here we're going to do 3 chain stitches at the end. So to do the chain stitch, you wrap your yarn around your needle and pull that through. 1, wrap your yarn around again, pull it through the loop. 2, wrap your yarn again once more. 3. Okay, so then I'm gonna turn my work, and excuse the soundtrack. Our neighbors have dogs. Okay, so it's 1 double crochet stitch, and then we're gonna do clusters of 3 double crochet stitches in each stitch around. So that's how you're gonna get the ruffle, because you're expanding the amount of stitches in each stitch. So this double crochet stitch, this 3 chains that I added would count as 1 double crochet stitch. So I'm going to add 2 more into that first single crochet stitch. So I'm going to wrap my yarn around, insert my hook into that first stitch, pull up my yarn. So now I have 3 hooks, 3 hoops, sorry, 3 loops on the hook. And I'm going to wrap my yarn again over my, this is called a yarn over. So I'm going to do a yarn over, and I'm going to pull the yarn through the first 2 loops on my hook. And then you're going to be left with 2 loops. I'm going to wrap my yarn over again and pull through those 2 loops to close out that double crochet stitch. So I have 2 double crochet stitches now. I'm going to add 1 more into that first stitch. Yarn over, insert my hook into that stitch, pull up the yarn back through the stitch. So I have 3 loops. I'm going to yarn over, pull my hook through the 2 loops, pull the yarn through the 2 loops. You have 2 loops left on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull that yarn through the last 2 loops. So now you have a cluster of 3 double crochet stitches. So depending on, what you're working on, because yes, we're doing this project, but you may want to do ruffles and something else. So to do ruffles, you'll just do clusters. 3 clusters of 3 is what works for this project. You may want to do clusters of 4 or 5 for different projects. But so that's how you would do a ruffle. You do that in every stitch. So I'm going to do a couple more, and then I'll go on mute and continue. So I'm gonna wrap my yarn around, insert my hook through that next stitch, pull up my yarn. I have 3 loops. I'm going to do a yarn over and pull my yarn up through those first 2 loops. And I have 2 loops left on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through those 2 hoops, those last 2 loops. So I have that 1 double crochet in that next stitch. I'm going to add 2 more so that I have 3. Yarn over, insert my hook, pull the yarn up, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the final 2 loops. I'm gonna do it again. Yarn over, insert my hook into the stitch, pull my yarn up. I'm just grabbing that yarn and pulling it up. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. So I have 1 more. Did I do 3 already? Oh, I did do 3 already. So see how quick that was? So I'm gonna keep on, and as I go, you don't really see the ruffle effect, but as you keep on going, this is pushing everything. This is just expanding your work. So as you add more stitches, you will see how the stitches will start to ruffle and start to look like this. Okay. So I'm going to continue, and this is it. Once you do the ruffles, the 3 clusters in each stitch, you're done. You go all the way to the end and you're done. Okay, then you'll close off your stitch. If you're already familiar with crochet, you'll close off your stitch, and then you'll either use your crochet hook to weave your ends in through the stitches so you can hide it, or you can use your large eye blunt needle. I personally prefer to use the crochet hook for this with the jewelry. Okay, so I'm going to mute myself. Feel free to ask any questions while I continue to do the double crochet stitches, the ruffles for this row. So you will notice also that this yarn is a little bit more bulky. So as I go and add the double crochet stitch clusters into each stitch, it gets a little stiff and it becomes a little hard to work my stitches, but you'll just have to put a little elbow grease in there and get the stitches done. So you'll see the ruffles are starting to form and it's moving around a little bit. So this is where it would have been great to have the glue here to hold it in place. It's looking beautiful.
Interesting that it's kind of forming a spiral now.
Exactly. And that could be a design as well. If you like that, you know, that's you can let it spiral. So there's so many different options. But with the ruffles, you have to, you know, you have to start forming it as it grows. Yeah, that's a good observation.
Okay, we've got another question. I am completely new to crochet. I actually prefer the yarn on the other earrings. Please, can you explain about the different types of yarns and hooks? Thank you.
Oh, of course. Thanks for that question. So this is, other than the obvious, they look different, right? This is, I believe this is an acrylic yarn. And the hook size is actually probably much larger than the one that I'm using. The required hook size is probably a size 8. So when you purchase yarn, and I don't have the label with me, unfortunately, it tells you a recommendation for the size hook to use. This yarn is, I believe this is a size 10 crochet cotton yarn. And this is ideal for if you want to do lace, and it's also popular for jewelry making. Okay, so it will require a much smaller crochet hook, and generally projects that require much smaller yarn and much smaller hooks, they take a longer time. Okay, the more chunkier the yarn is, the quicker the project will work up. I hope that helped. If you have any other questions about yarn and hook selection, please feel free to ask in the comments, in the chat, sorry. And that's the reason why I'm actually using this, because this is an hour program and I wouldn't be able to finish this one in that amount of time. So that's the only reason I'm using this yarn right now. But you can use whatever yarn you would like.
And another comment, thank you for explaining.
You're very welcome. And also the, so this is how you achieve the ruffles. The picture for this program, the earrings on that is actually, you're using the same stitch, but it's more chains. So I'll actually show you that right now. And that one would be much quicker as well. So I'm gonna do that style here. So it's just a few chains. So I'm going to skip one stitch, and I'm going to do a slip knot in the next one. Slip knot, you just insert your hook, pull a yarn up and pull it through that loop that's on your hook. And then I'm going to chain 3. And that's how we started this ruffle stitch. 2, 3 with the chain 3. Might actually do a chain 4. And then I'm going to skip one stitch and go to the next one. And I'm going to do a slip stitch in that one, yarn over and pull that through. Oops. Pull that through. So there's so much you can do. pull that through, you do your slip stitch. So you see it's creating sort of like little scallops. So that's a really, like if you're looking for something much quicker, you do a couple of chains. I do 4, maybe you can do more. So I'm just going to do that in the middle, and then I'll continue with the ruffles, just so you have a few, like you realize like you can do so much with just a few simple stitches. And I think like Rose was saying, if you use like a variegated yarn or different color yarn, that would just add to the interest. So see how cute that looks? It's just like little scallops here. So you can do that all the way to the end. I'll do one more and then I'll continue to do the ruffles. This is actually really fun.
You made those a little bit longer. They look like petals of a flower.
Right, exactly. Make them longer so they're bigger. So there's some, you can do them small like that. You can make them bigger, skip more stitches to accommodate for the bigger size. And exactly. Sometimes, you know, this can be a little intimidating if you've never done it or you don't really know. But just looking, sometimes you can look at a picture and you can see something, and that's just how it's done. It's so simple. I'm just gonna continue. I'm gonna do the ruffles here. So it's kind of, this will be in the middle, somewhat in the middle. And that will be a really cute earring. Notice when I slip a stitch, it's just so easy to just add it right back onto your crochet hook and continue. So that's one of the things I really like about crochet. It's very forgiving and easy to correct. So what's happening here is my stitches are slipping off at the other end of the hoop earring. So I'm just easing them back on so that I can finish working all the stitches.
Okay, another question. I'm just observing for now. So please, do you have written instructions or a pattern you could share?
Okay, great. I mean, that's what the program is for. Where you can sit and observe, and we'll have the recording to share. I don't currently have a pattern, but I do plan to work one up. So we can share with you. Just email me at creative@nhfpl.org, and I'd be happy to email you some resources. And also, if you are in the New Haven area, you can come in during office hours, and I'd be happy to do a one-on-one tutorial for you and help you along to get you started.
And a reply, thank you.
Okay, so I am coming up on the last 2 stitches here. So I'm gonna work them just how I've been working the others with the ruffles. Just got to find the speed up. Okay, so this is just a little off because my stitches slipped while I was working. But we'll push them through. The edge of the earring is blocking the stitch from going on. Okay. All right. So there we go. So you can't really see the little eyelets or scallops that we made because the ruffles really add a lot of, it makes it really dense. But I just wanted to show you other options that you can do. So this is the earring, and I'll show you how to finish it. And you see it hasn't been an hour yet, and it's pretty much done. So this is the last loop that we had on the hook. And to finish it, we'll just hold that a little tight. We're going to cut maybe a couple inches off. Well, add a couple of inches because we're gonna just wrap that in over through the yarn and we're gonna pull it through all the way through. We just wrapped around the hook, sorry, and pull it all the way through and tighten it. So that secures the end. And then we're going to weave the end through. I'm actually going to use my smaller crochet hook to weave it in. So I'm going to pull my crochet hook in and I'm just going to grab that yarn and pull it through one of the stitches. So the purpose of this is just to hide your yarn end because you don't want to cut it too close because it can easily unravel. So this, it just gives it extra security. And that's something that's just a general thing with crochet work. This hook actually doesn't grab that well. Let me get the bigger one. So I'm going in and out, weaving this in through my other stitches until I feel it's really secure. So see, I put my crochet hook through a couple stitches at a time, so I can just pull that yarn in through. So I'll do it through a couple more stitch and then I'll cut off the rest. So there it is. We did it actually under an hour. Thank you for hanging on coming along with us, Tony, and for your wonderful questions. So
We've got another question, actually. How would you do it with a needle, please?
Okay, so with the needle, let's see. So you would thread the yarn through your needle. So imagine this is the end that's left. So you would do the same thing. Imagine that's the yarn end that's left, and you would just, it may be a little easier actually because you have the point, and you would just go through and tuck it in. Does that help? So it's the same thing. You just thread the end through your yarn needle. I think the reason why I don't really recommend, even though it's easier for crochet projects to weave in your ends that way, we're using this because it's such a short end that you're working with. It may be a little more difficult, but you can definitely work around that. Such great questions. Okay, let me close out. So let's see, change my camera. So that was great. So we have our next program. Well, I have a program tomorrow, actually. I have a series on getting started on YouTube. So the first one was how to create your channel and to create your banner art. So tomorrow we're going to go into creating an intro and outro video at 2 o'clock. And then in March, we have recording a video. So we're actually going to go into some tips on recording your video, March 4th at 3 o'clock. And March 5th, Saturday, March 5th, my friend and colleague, Jane Bichot Simevelos, I always get tongue-tied with her name. She's an art therapist, and she's coming in to do an art wellness workshop. So there will be art, creativity, and just kind of reflections and stretching ourselves to be our best, to think of our wellness in a different perspective, right? So it's this is going to be an awesome program, and we hope to see you at one or all of them. You are welcome to register. The links are on the website. And as I mentioned, you can email me always at creative@nhfpl.org if you have any further questions, or you want to sign up for office hours, or you want to come in and make a pair of crochet hoop earrings. I am there for it, and I love it. So thank you, and we will see you at our next program.
Thank you. And regarding tomorrow's program, tonight and tomorrow we're supposed to get snow in this area. So before the program, double check the library's website to see if the snow has affected our hours. If it's not as bad as people say, or if it's just like overnight and it's normal in the morning, then the program will proceed as scheduled. All right. Thank you for showing us how to do that, Ceresa.
Thank you. Thanks for all those details, Rose.
Mm-hmm. All right.